Hey everyone, I think it's time for us all to have a happy memory. A very happy, fun little story of a memory, like we all have lots of. Though I think this one may be a little bit more unique to myself. Let's talk about the time that someone died in front of my house. Alright, to set this up a little bit, I live in Indiana, and I live in the middle of the woods in Indiana, so that makes matters a little bit more frightening. Because when it gets dark, it gets really dark. The trees really just block out the moonlight. You're not going to see much when you're on the roads in front of my house. But to make matters even scarier, there are these turns. They go around this lake, and they're meant to preserve this lake, not to plow right through it. But instead, the lake ended up overgrowing and dying. So now it's just this woodsy, this mess of all these plants just growing in there, just dead. And it's not uncommon to find a car crashed in the water. But now with this story, with this particular crash, this was a very different one, because while many cars crash, we usually don't hear them. But this one, we end up hearing. It starts off with I was downstairs in my house. I was playing games in the basement, and I had the headphones on. But because I had the headphones on, I only heard this sound faintly. But a car came screeching by, horn blaring. I think they're slamming on their brakes. They might have been. I couldn't actually tell. This car just came shooting by our house. My mother was instantly worried. She was talking to my dad. She was like, she wanted him to go investigate and see what happened, what's going on. And I ended up pulling down my headphones from my games, and I went up to go with my mother and my dad to just kind of see like what's going on. So my dad went outside there, and he went to go investigate, to go look at this wreck, while I waited with my mom for the moment to just make sure she was okay, because my mom was just very much in a panic. But then, my dad, after a little bit of time, my dad came back. And I had to go with him to go see what had happened. And I got to see the wreck. The car had come speeding through, but they weren't ready for the turn. And he ended up trying to turn on his way and was drifting. That's at least from what I can speculate from looking at everything the wreck. And the first thing we noticed when the flashlight was shined, there was blood. And there was a man without his head. His head, it wasn't decapitated. When the car drifted into the trees, the full force of the car crashing went into the guy's head. But that wasn't the driver, though, who got hit. It was the passenger. So the driver was actually still sitting in the seat. And I began to notice him after getting over the shock of, well, there's a dead body right there. And he's panicking about, he wasn't ready, he didn't know what he was doing. He was scared out of his mind. He just killed his friend. And this wasn't even like a full-grown man. These were two 16-year-old kids just on their way to this church meeting. This late-at-night church meeting. That's at least what he told us. My dad and I tried to comfort him a little bit. We tried to do something for him, but the problem was this isn't a situation with a happy ending. The police were called by some of the neighbors who were starting to gather, and from what I can understand, the 16-year-old kid is being charged with his friend's death, because when you're the driver of a car and you crash it with your friend, you're responsible for their life. But we ended up getting chased away, so this story ends a little bit more abruptly than I'd like. But we watched kind of the cop cars go by. We couldn't see much of what was happening, but we saw his friend dead, and a cross was set up in the spot. Now that's still up right now for the fallen kid. Yeah, that's what happened. Guy died. He's never coming back.